Lindsay, let me ask you from the team strategy standpoint, why go the temporary stadium route? And we say temporary, this is not a 2-year thing. You said 10 years earlier. That's more of a longer term thing than maybe most people might initially think. What's the game plan of this instead of saying, you know what, we're going to look for our forever home here and now? And let me also ask you this, why would that site not be your forever home?
That's a lot of questions.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I'll start with the first one first.
I get paid by the question, I guess. Go ahead.
As we all know, real estate development in Oakland is very challenging. Mm-hmm. And we have a very urgent need for a stadium. And the fastest route for us to get to a stadium that will provide a home for all of our fans, much greater capacity than 5,000, will provide a home for us to have a fully professional women's team and men's team, and will allow us to generate the revenue to pay for our operations, is this temporary venue concept. And it will give us a home that will give us the runway to facilitate us looking for a permanent home in Oakland. Right now, we're in a little bit of a catch-22 where we need a venue right now. And so the best way to do that is to put together a temporary home. And by temporary, we do mean 10 years. It's longer than, like you said, just a couple of seasons. But that will allow us that longer term runway. And part of the reason why real estate development is so complicated is because you have to make sure things are zoned properly and have the utilities necessary. And those just aren't things you can work out in 24 months. And that's why we've been limited in our options for this temporary venue to locations that are already permitted for use for a professional soccer facility like this.
Makes a lot of sense. Lydia, what's the approval process like?
Well, for this particular site, and Lindsay alluded to this, the site, as you probably know, was approved back in the mid-2010s. The Coliseum specific plan studied the impact of up to 3 professional teams playing in that area at the same time. And so it's zoned correctly. A lot of the impacts have already been studied. And the process for us, we would go through the city of Oakland's planning approvals process, and would just restudy, take a look at our actual proposed project and how it fits within what was studied before. So there would be some CEQA review, California Environmental Quality Act review, and then actual review of our proposed design as well. We are hoping, fingers crossed, that once we make an actual application, the city, it would be a 6 to 8 month process to get through that process. And it's expedited that way because of the underlying zoning, the underlying work that's already been done that the city put in place a number of years ago.
I'll ask this next question. Then, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah. Well, I would just say, from there, we would look to start construction sort of mid-summer to late summer of 2024 in order to be ready for our first game in the Q1 of 2025.
That's another great thing to know. I hadn't even thought about the timeline and all of this. I'm glad you brought it up.